Good morning. This is Scott with Lochte Feed. I just wanted to thank everybody for watching today. I've got Janice here with me, our RPS, and we've got Bucky here with Purina. They want to visit with you a little bit about show feeds. I'm just going to turn it over to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott. Here, you want to take a seat? We'll do this sitting down, just kind of easy.
How are you doing today, Bucky?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing good. So I've got some questions that customers have come up to the desk and they've asked about that I wanted to share with you in a little bit. But first, would you please tell us a little bit of difference about our show supplements that we have?
Yeah, 100%. Well, first off, thank everybody for being on this morning. Just like Scott said, we appreciate it. And glad to talk a little bit about some show feeds today. And so I'll go over our show supplements because that's one thing that, maybe not all of our feeds fit you, but there's always a show supplement that might fit your program. And so I'll go over those just a little bit. We have some differences in a few of them. We've got things that would be like a fat supplement, like our Power Fuel. So Power Fuel's been around for a long time, right? We've had that for a long time. Personally, I'm invested a lot with the sheep and the goat business, and we had a hard time of getting sheep and goats to eat our Power Fuel supplement. And so we actually changed that formula up just a little bit. It's in a smaller nugget, a little bit more palatable, I would say, for the sheep and goats. And so far, we used it last year in our feeding program. I had a few other folks do some trials on it. I was heavily involved with that, and the intakes have been great. So if you're needing to add bloom, that's the biggest thing now in the show industry. Everybody's wanting a lot of bloom, a lot of condition, and so that's going to help you add that into your animal. We also have depth charge. A lot of people talk about spring of rib, and that's really the bottom portion of the rib coming out, right? Depth charge helps with that. So I always tell people we have two supplements that they can get confused on, and that's depth charge and ultra full, because people might think those do the same thing, but they don't. So I always say go from the navel back, and you'll be able to say that depth charge helps that bottom portion of the rib to come open. So that's a good supplement there. While we're on that subject, we'll talk about ultra full. So Ultra Full's been around for a long time. We just had a change up of it about the past 2 years. That supplement used to have fat in there, and we noticed as we were, say, managing show heifers or managing some of our animals on feed that it was maybe adding too much condition, but really what we were wanting was the flank line. I know, being around the show industry, that we've heard this several times, that people go, I need more flank line. The judge will say that. Maybe even the person that's helping you will say it. We need more flank. We need more lower turn to that rib cage. And that's where that Ultra Full is going to come in and help, and it's fat negative. We also talk about another bloom supplement that kind of helps with some growth and bloom, and that would be our golden ticket. And so that one's kind of neat because it does two things at the same time. It's going to help with that animal's early development, gaining some mass and dimension, but also is going to help you with bloom as well. So golden ticket's kind of a good portion to do both things at the same time. And then we come back to what we call our fat burning products. That'd be our Fitter 52 and our Fitter 35. A lot of people kind of get those confused. And so what I can tell you is, if you're needing a slow burn, stay on Fitter 35. If you're like, oh my goodness, we got a fat animal and we got 2 weeks, we should probably be on Fitter 52. So as we go through those deals, I always try to explain that just a little bit, because I have a lot of questions that come up. Which one should I use? And I always tell people, depending on the product and the case, that would tell you which way to go. 35 is your more slow burn, 52 is your bigger burn. To finish up on just a couple supplements I'll hit really quick, we have Alleviate. Alleviate is a good pH balancer, and we know that animals can go off feed as we go through the feeding cycle. Alleviate helps to get that pH level at optimum level and keep your animals on feed for a longer time. As we continue to go through, I think we just got one more in our pigs deal, and that's Power Fill. So a lot of times you get pigs to a show, you're not really wanting to gain a bunch of weight, but you're wanting to keep some feel, you want to keep those animals going without adding any extra weight, fat, or condition. That Power Fill does a good job of being a good supplement to stay there in that in-between phase. We also have Heavyweight as well. I want to finish up with that one. That's another weight gaining product, but it's in a powder, so it's a little different. Pigs eat it really well. I know a lot of sheep and goat customers use that as actually mix it into, make it a drench to go in. So some different products that we have in supplements. I tell you, that's a lot of information in a small amount of time, and I'll always be available. I'll put my number at the end of this live session to talk about that furthermore.
Okay. So my first question comes from a gentleman. He says, we have a lot of different supplements. Where is it? my Honor Federer Edge 13DX. What is a DX and what is the recommendation feeding schedule and method for Fitter's Edge?
Okay, Fitter's Edge is a really cool product. And so we'll start with that first part of that question. DX actually stands for Decox. And so that's the active ingredient in there to prevent for coccidiosis. And as you think about Fitter's Edge, it's a great place to start calves. So also having that coccidia treatment and then as well as it being a starter product works really well. So slow gain, it's a lower fiber, or excuse me, lower energy, higher fiber feed. And so that's going to help you as you're kind of getting those calves started. A lot of people with show heifers also will use this and add in power fuel as a finishing ration. So I know a lot of people use it for that. Another product that we've also come out with that's a little bit similar to that would be a good holding ration, which is kind of what I would look at that between it and under control. You could also use long game as kind of a starter as well. I'll also talk about that if we get to under control as that product kind of moves in there as well.
Okay. So I get this a lot. People come in, it's their first time to get a show calf. And they just don't know where to start and what to use. What would be good for them to use for a long range feed?
Long range feed. Full range is our easiest feed to feed the whole time. And I'll tell you that it's a good product from start to finish. I have people that use that as a cell prep ration, and then I have people that are feeding that when they walk onto the floor at Houston. So that feed can be used all the way through. Now, there's some differences, and you might want to tweak things with some supplements, right? So it's a good consistent feed to feed all the way. And I tell a lot of beginning folks that are getting into it, it's a nice feed that you know you're not going to mess up, right? It's never going to take you to the extremes of being too lightweight or too light muscled or too lean. And it's not going to take you to the extreme of being too overweight, too overconditioned. So I always try to use that as a good center feed. It's a good base ration. And you can add all those supplements that I talked about if you need to tweak things here and there. So that's a good product to have on there.
Okay. Now, I have a lady that asked, what are the unique features of the Purina Honor Finishing Touch that sets it apart from other similar products?
Man, I think as we talk about that finishing touch feed, as we're getting calves and we're starting to turn, it's time to go. It's time to get them into that finishing stage. We're getting to that time of year where we've kind of got them through the growth phase, but it's time to lay on that nice added condition, that extra mass and growth to get them into the specific class or whichever show you're destined to go to. That finishing touch separates just because it's a great energy source and it is packed full of that extra added growth and bloom that they're going to need to have that show ring look.
Okay. How would you use under control?
So under control, great deal that we have on here. So under control is a good feed whenever we maybe went to the extreme, or maybe we just think our calf is headed to the point of we're probably getting over condition. That feed is great for holding cattle all the way through, as well as bringing down condition and maintaining them. But we don't want to burn off too much, right? We still want to keep the spring of rib. We still want to keep that muscle shape. That product's unique that it won't add that extra fat, but still keeps them growing and having some added muscle shape. We also have that product that I mentioned just a little bit ago is Long Game, which is a newer product for us. It's a little more cost prohibitive, but as you're holding cattle for longer periods of time, that Long Game is really good because it's got added cottonseed hulls and it's a little cheaper. Can hold you, say, if you had a calf that maybe is not ready to go, doesn't need to go until the spring, but you want to hold him through the summer and the fall months, that would be a great feed to kind of have in there as well. So that's a two-parter of the answer to that question. Just want to plug in that Long Game as well. But under control, been around here a good while, and it works really, really good.
And Long Game, when is that exactly going to be out?
So it's out now.
And
we just haven't brought it in the store because we haven't had any people asking about it. But maybe if it's a product you ask for, get with Janice here, and she can help order that. I can get her the code, and we can get them some feed in.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about the Honor Show Lamb Stretch.
Yes.
They did change the name.
Yep.
And they've changed it up a little bit.
Yes.
What can you tell us about that?
So that would be our stretch lamb. And so if you think of the word stretch, it means we're trying to hold a lamb longer. So say we had people that got a leftover Midwest sheep or something like that and are trying to hold it until our spring majors. That would be a great feed to have because we're trying to just hold them. We don't want them to gain extra weight and mass. We just want to keep them in that pattern. Also, especially in this area, we feed a lot of breed sheep, right? South Downs, Dorpers, fine wool crosses. Those animals tend, I would say, more leaning to the South Down, Dorper, side of that equation, but also those other ones as well, maybe the cross, can tend to get, I say, just fatter easier, right? They don't need as much as those medium wools do. So that 17 is a little higher protein, but what's really important about it, it's lower fat compared to our 15%. And so right now, we in our personal barn, we've got some South Downs and Dorpers, and that's what we have them on. We have them on stretch 17 because we know we're going to have to hold those animals longer, and we don't want them to gain that extra mass and fat that we can't get burned off. That's not saying you can't feed the 15% to those animals if they need it, but that's just kind of how we started out. We had some good bloomy animals young, and so just kind of wanted to hold them through that period. So that's what I'd tell you about 17 stretch. I think it's really good, and I think people will enjoy it as they start feeding those type of animals. But also, just to continue with that, also if your medium wool needs to be held, that also is there for that 17 stretch. I don't want to get confused with that.
Okay. Alrighty. This one came from a young lady. It says, I have a lamb and needed to add a cover or bloom. Is there a product that you have to help with that?
So the bloom would been, I would say, first off, I'd hope they're feeding that Honor Show Lamb 15, right? So they're going to get some extra bloom in there. But if they're not, it would be that Power Fuel Extreme or that Golden Ticket. So you could go either way, depending on how they wanted to go. We got the Power Fuel Extreme or our Golden Ticket, which will both increase bloom, mass, and dimension onto those animals.
Okay. Here's another one. We're just starting out with some show goats this year. Can you set up a feeding program for us? Can you help with that?
100%. So as we kind of look to a show goat operation, right? And if I were to say, come on to your operation where you're raising your animals, I would kind of see what the animals look like on our initial evaluation. So if we have some heavier muscled, more extreme muscle goats that are already really ripped up, I would make a certain feed program. If we've got maybe a greener animal that's really neat but needs some extra mass and condition, I would probably make a separate recommendation. So I'll start with our base feeds that we currently have with our Honor Show here in this area. We have our 17P, which is Honor Show Goat, 17P. And so that is a 17% protein. That one's designed for goats that are really heavy muscle and already really ripped up. It doesn't have a humongously high fat content. So animals that already have that shape and dimension that we just want to continue growing and stay leaner, that product is great for that. It's a pelleted product. So I would say that would be where I would start with that one. And then as that project goes on, we would start adding in supplements. So if we needed a little more condition, we would add in that Power Fuel Extreme. If we needed some more flank line, we would add in the Ultra Full. And I think that's something really important that I would, if I was making this feed recommendation or a feed program to somebody, is I would say every week, take pictures and find out what the goal is for your animal. Does it need more flank line? Does it need more depth of rib? Do we need more mass on the top side? I think continuously adding that in would be very important. All right, so the other side, I walk in and there's an animal that needs a lot of condition, right? Maybe smaller, not near as much condition on it today. We have a brand new product that has just come out. And if you've been around the goat industry, you've probably heard of one of our ambassadors, and that's Jamie Smith with Blue Team Weathers. And so we call this product Blue Team Weather. It's called Blue Team Weather 15. And so it's a texture product. The texture product works really good. It's actually extremely palatable to the goats. When I first started out, I was always nervous about using a textured feed because I was afraid the animals would sort. This product does well. The animals go in, they typically don't have any sorting issues, and they go in and get that feed. What's different about that one is that is a 15 protein, 6 fat. So that's an extremely bloomy feed. And so if you've got an animal that's maybe needing that extra bloom, that extra condition, I would lean people to go through that. Now, that's not saying you don't have a heavy muscle goat and you want to keep extra bloom. You could go with the 15. So we have those two options. And so if I was making feed recommendations or a feeding program for those two types of people, or that maybe those two types of goats, that's how I would do it. I would say it always starts at assessing the animal, though, finding out where that animal's at and what's our goal to get to.
Okay. Those are really great answers and very good questions. Thank you, guys.
No problem.
I'm trying to see if there's any. So we really didn't talk anything about pigs as far as supplements.
Yeah. So pig supplements can kind of go through there. A lot of people use that heavyweight one. You could also use the Power Fuel if you like, if you needed some extra condition. We said that Power Fuel, for holding an animal through, just keeping that extra feel in that animal without adding feed. those would be great supplements to talk about through that I would say are kind of my big three for our pig program.
Okay. Is there anything else that maybe I haven't asked or nobody asked a question about that you want to talk about real quick?
I think that's it. I think what I'd like to maybe talk about, let y'all talk about, is a little bit about what the store can do. We've been Purinaing it all day, so let's sure try to talk about all the different things that we have.
So we have these little charts up at the store. When you get ready for your different Purina supplements, it'll talk a little bit about them. This is the different colors of the bags. It gives you descriptions on each one of those that Becky just talked about. And it's got more information on the back for you. Whenever you come in, if you need one, holler and we'll get it for you. So, Becky, I know you're Purina only.
Right.
But do you know that we do carry other products?
Yes. Tell them a little bit about it.
Okay.
Definitely.
We do carry the Lintner feed products for showing. We also carry Jacoby, and we have some Full of Pep show feeds also. So come to Lochte's for any of your show feeds. And with that, we've also got our Weaver products. We've got our stock show supplements like Outlast, Gold Dust, Attitude Adjustment, all the different ones like that. So if you need anything, we're the place to come to, and you can also get your clothes, your boots, everything you need to get ready for the show.
Perfect. Well, I think that's awesome, and I think that's great that Lochte provides so many different things. And here's the reality: if maybe there's something you have that we can find, sure, give them a call, and they'll be able to look it up and get it in here for you for your show projects. And I want to offer up my contact information if you have questions with your projects or anything like that. My phone number is 706-878-6366. My email is bjackson1@landolakes.com. So you can feel free to text me, email me. If I don't pick up, sure, leave me a message. So appreciate y'all letting us do this today and having a good honor show feed talk.
Right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We greatly appreciate it.
Y'all have a great day.
Yes. Thank you.